And thank you, listeners, so much for watching, listening. We appreciate you. Remember, please hit the subscribe button there in the corner of YouTube. And obviously, if you have audio on Apple or Spotify, you can also follow us there as well too. And hit that subscribe button, please. And for more, Mike,
share with all your friends and family via email, social media.
And Larry?
And at the same time, we got to keep Greg going. We try to give us a substantial donation. Even $5 helps. But any kind of donation, you'll find a link in the show somewhere on the notes. Appreciate Greg being in business. We want to keep him there.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure doing this kind of business. I don't feel this is work. This is an inspiring life.
I can see that.
And the last one, there's 3 ways. You guys know if you want to refer a guest, if you know someone, this podcast is about you. It's about the Dayton community. It's about our community. So here, about Dayton and with far-reaching potential to the world. All right. So thank you so much, and thank you for your time.
Comes up and says, what's your name? I told him. He said, you're the busiest trainer in Dayton.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like the goat is telling me I'm the busiest trainer in Dayton.
And we're live today on Imagine Fitting In podcast. And again, another special episode, which I consider a real honor and privilege. And today we have a Mike Robinson and Mr. Larry Pacifico returns. And I'm excited about having Larry sit in, because after I had a conversation with you, Mike, as we talked about this and we finally got together, and believe me, all the guests, it takes like a few tries or little pauses and whatever, and it was really special actually when I talked to Mike over the phone about how much you felt you were a mentor to him. So I thought, what a great combination. And we're going to get to know, from everybody that's listened to your podcast, Larry. I know everybody has been quite, you blew up my numbers, which I appreciate.
Good.
And just love it. So go on forward and highlight some of these people that are dynamic like Mike in the area of fitness, knowledge, nutrition, high education, trying to inspire people. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so Mike, usually where we start this is like, where were you born? Where you call home today? And what was like, what was your childhood like? What your parents do? What was that world like?
I was born in a little town called Dupont, Illinois. I think we were related to everyone in that town. There was like 200 people in there. My dad built our first house.
Oh, man.
Interesting. He built a corner of it on a railroad right away, so he couldn't sell it. The railroad wouldn't let us. Hilarious. Too many Budweisers, I think. Moved from there. Dad did telephone work. Went to Bloomington, Illinois, where I went to high school, and basically I grew up there. And ended up in Florida doing telephone work at first. Mm-hmm. Went to college. I'm here in Dayton because my dad was having a femoral bypass. Mm. And they didn't think he was going to get out of the hospital. So I came here to he was in the ICU. They didn't think he was going to get out. I came here because to tie up loose ends and everything. And he ended up getting out. He didn't have a place to stay, so I had to get an apartment. Mm-hmm. Still had my apartment in Florida. Had to get one where there was no steps, because he couldn't walk up the steps. Right. So I found one. I'm still living in the same place. And he lived with me for about 10 years, ended up going to the nursing home, which that's a whole nother fun story. But he passed away about 10 years ago.
God bless.
But that brought me here, which, you never know where fate's going to land
Exactly, the universe.
First, I went to work for a little company. I'm just looking for things to do because I'm still thinking I'm heading back to Florida.
Right.
Then I bought a GNC franchise, ran that forever. Larry was training at a little gym next to the GNC. Obviously, I knew who Larry was, but
Right.
I'd never met him.
Did you happen to know? Did that help you secure that purchase that location?
No,
No?
I had no idea he was there.
Just serendipity. You've come to find out, discover he's there.
Some of his clients came in to buy supplements.
Oh, sure.
Then I approached them at that little gym about training people there because, I had done that as a side gig for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Really finalized my nutrition stuff at the GNC,
Right.
like through reading anatomy and physiology books, and I ended up creating this basal metabolic rate calculation.
Nice.
That
sounds like it would be ahead of its time
it's
in terms of the back in the day, right? I mean,
well, even now,
Yeah.
no one has it.
Okay.
It's a formula that would reach across the street.
oh wow.
It uses 12 variables. They're all weighted differently.
Okay.
I created that,
Okay.
trial and error.
Yes.
So there were a few guinea pigs. Sorry to all the guinea pigs. But it really, like right now, I plug in the variables
Yes.
and it spits out everything I need to know.
Right.
And it's been tweaked and changed over 20 years.
Right.
So I can tell people what weight they'll be every 30 days.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, with
Following all what you've
right, if they do
right,
what I say.
if they stay on track.
Exactly.
And so, gosh, Larry, can we imagine how many? If you said like, we know there's multiple factors, but what are the? I'm just curious. What are the really top 10? Do you have the top 10 in your head? Like that factors that have to be just like you got to be on point, and then there's the rest.
You mean the variables?
Yes.
Like height, weight?
Well, the things they have to do. Like once you get all that information, like
I give them exactly what to do. So I have a food options list that they tell me the food they like.
yes,
I have my favorite food because, nutrition is it's a combination of calories, which is a big deal,
right,
but knowing the right amount of calories is the big deal.
right,
And the type of food is a tool in the toolbox. It isn't just calories. There's certain calories that are better than other calories.
right, right.
Especially for competitive athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I basically have it down to fill this out, fill that out, and then I send them an exact plan
Got it.
that matches the exact calorie number that the formula puts
Okay.
out. And there's a formula for calorie deficit, macro division.
It sounds really powerful, and
I've made it easy on myself,
there you go.
basically.
Well, yeah, right. That template to empower you.
Right.
So, Mike, what is it like? Did you know, like when you were a kid and when you were young, did you have any idea? Any Larry? I mean, Larry's was shared with us that you discovered that you were just naturally strong. All of a sudden, he ran into a few mentors here and there. Did you have any idea, when you were a kid, about that, or anybody that potentially influenced you in whatever direction you ended up going?
So I would say first it was a football coach.
Okay.
I went to a school that we were really small. We won state all 4 years I was there. There was a lot of money in this school, and we were like a small college football team because of all the money. We got new uniforms every year.
That's a blessing, man.
Oh, yeah.
That structure.
So we also had a college football coach that came back from college to coach high school.
Sweet.
So we were, we
Knew what was going on.
did things that other high schools didn't do.
Right. And there's that most power, right there? And one of the most powerful mentors, right?
Exactly.
Right.
If you take and get a young person who has potential, if you get him right off the bat to think about food, then you've got somebody that may listen. He may or may not listen, but if he listens,
Yeah.
he'll probably be a superstar, whatever he does. Food is everything.
Right.
80%.
Absolutely, right?
Back in that day,
They didn't know that.
it wasn't a big thing.
No.
Even for a football team, lifting wasn't even that huge of a thing
Right.
back then. But I had a guy that was ahead of his time. Like you say, he pointed
Yeah, just
onto the right things.
Right.
So, it's just like you said, I was searching for something. I didn't even know what it was.
right when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Did you have siblings, and was it a big
yeah.
family? Yeah.
I have a brother that's 10 months and 10 days younger than me.
And what school was that?
Central Catholic High School,
Central Catholic High School in what city?
Bloomington, Illinois.
Bloomington, Illinois. A little shout out to Bloomington, Illinois. What's the name of the high school?
Central Catholic.
Oh, Central Catholic. Good Catholic boy like me.
Oh, yeah.
And me.
Yeah, right. And so, so after that, during along the way, that coach was pretty influential. Obviously, I'm curious. What were you on offense, defense? What was your?
I played defensive tackle.
Okay, were you naturally?
I played offense too sometimes.
Okay, you on the line, so you were bigger.
Yeah, I was on the line.
Bigger guy, got some power.
Scored 1 touchdown.
Okay, nice. Well, we can see why Larry he ended up getting into powerlifting because those powerhouses. You see, did you hear during the Philadelphia Eagles, their defensive front line?
Oh, yeah. 6
my
foot
God.
6.
Yeah, nobody
Three-
was under 6'3", and
335.
right, and they totaled like 1,540 pounds or something like this, coming at you. That was amazing.
Well, the very first Super Bowl guys
Yeah,
were 6 foot 6, 230 pounds.
Right.
These guys were 100 pounds per man bigger than the very first Super Bowl winners.
right. Wow. So that school, and then was there any teachers along the way, like in academia, or just?
Well, funny, there was, but he was an assistant football coach.
Okay.
So there was a game when I was a freshman that I played varsity when I was a freshman. He promised everyone was going to get in this game.
Yeah.
He didn't put me in.
Oh.
But I was a freshman playing varsity.
Well, that's pretty.
He taught English, and he came to the class that I was in on the next Monday and apologized.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Like, he didn't have to do that.
Right.
That right there,
Do you remember his name?
Heinemann, I think.
Okay.
He was a little guy, taught Shakespeare.
Nice.
He was very
Cultured.
A lot of different.
A Jewish boy at a Catholic school.
Exactly. So, that was something that still, obviously, to this day, meant something to me.
Yeah. Nice. And so, besides, going to school, playing some football, did you have any other life-changing experiences when you're younger, or any kind of moments that you stand out in your mind, like, wow, that even supported?
Yeah, he scored 1 touchdown. That had to be.
That was the greatest.
That was the greatest moment of his life.
Those tackle-eligible plays are fun.
Okay. So tell us how to go down.
The touchdown?
Yes.
We were right there on the goal line.
Yes.
I reported as an eligible receiver, just ran in the end zone, turned around, and caught the ball.
He just popped right in your
Yeah.
hands.
I thought you intercepted at the 50.
I know. I thought he was at the line on the defense, and he stripped the ball.
I got knocked down 5 times on the way.
You should have started with that story.
It's too late.
Oh, okay.
It was really nothing.
Okay. And so, Mike, tell us about, you mentioned about, your company called MuscleDawg Fitness. Mm-hmm. And what's different? We kind of touched on a little bit, obviously, nutrition, but what's the difference what's the difference? It sounds like we're going back to competitive bodybuilding, that difference between, what offerings are around maybe here in the local area, and I don't know, around the country. Can you expand on how much your program has been recognized and or utilized here?
So on the competitive side, I do lifestyle and competitive.
Yes.
On the competitive side, years ago, and I was telling you, there's like 5 of us that if you wanted to compete on the bodybuilding stage, we trained you in the Mid-Atlantic zone, which covers Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana. So now there's tons of coaches out there. However, I go to probably 30 shows a year with clients. The difference is I have 11 pros that people I've made pro. Not very many people have that out there. Hopefully we're going to have someone on the Olympia stage this year.
Oh, wow.
Definitely no one has one of those.
Oh, good for you, man. That's impressive. Isn't that impressive, Larry?
What did I tell you?
Whoa.
We were one step away from the Olympia last year.
Oh, shit.
She came in second to the number one in the world. The problem is they're not going to let someone beat that girl if it isn't on the Olympia stage.
Right.
So we came in second. In fact, she came in top 5 3 times on pro stages.
Oh, that's impressive.
So she's number 3 in the world, actually.
What's her name?
now.
What's her name?
Heather Phipps.
Heather Phipps.
She's bad to the bone.
Where is she from?
She was from here, but she moved to Florida.
Okay.
So I train her
Okay.
long distance.
Nice. Well, then definitely Mike is the man. She's
We,
taking you with her everywhere she goes.
Well, most times I can make it. Sometimes
Yes.
if it overlaps a show in the local area, I got to do the local, because I put out a list of shows I'm going to.
Yeah.
And if we stick something else in there, like Tom, of course, Tom wants to go out of state.
Okay. Now you mentioned Tom and Larry. Tell me a little bit about Tom. Excuse me, Mike. Larry mentioned Tom. Tell me about Tom.
Tom's a great guy.
Yeah.
Very
I'm sorry, his last name as well?
Glavin. He's,
Glavin.
like I said, a wonderful person, wonderful guy, and he listens. And Mike turned him from a regular guy who had some muscularity
Yeah.
into what he is today, which is, I think, phenomenal. Every bit of his body is tissue paper,
Oh, wow.
and the muscle lays underneath, ripped to the bone. Mm-hmm. And
Stays that way.
you need to, yes, and he stays that way year round because he's got good genetic
Yes.
background. But you need to get him on your show and interview this guy because he's also bright, smart.
Love to
guy.
have him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's nobody's easily coached, but when you know someone is going to do what you say,
Right.
it makes it so much better.
Right.
He's a great guy, and he is one of the best masters bodybuilders in this whole area.
That's fabulous. It just goes to show you, right? As we all train clients, and the communication, and when someone is not only wanting something potentially different. Sometimes they don't know what they want. But also some people have a drive of like, okay, I don't care. You can almost discover they're not really exactly sure, but when that energy comes and they bring all what we need to kind of start the process, then we see right our bells in our heads go off and we're that direction.
And we
Go ahead, sir.
we deal with a lot of like a wide range there.
Yeah.
I have people that come in my office and ask how to get to the Olympia stage. They haven't even been on a stage before.
Right.
Tom comes in, he doesn't think he's ready for any stage. And
Is he so humble and modest?
He's so far beyond this other guy.
Oh my
You mean
goodness.
that
Yeah,
guy
they-
from Mansfield?
Yeah. I wasn't going to mention any names.
Okay.
I didn't mention a name.
Okay.
But yes, that's exactly who I'm talking about. I'm like, maybe you should get on a stage before you want to know how to get to the Olympia. But he thought he was already there.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
Tom's very humble, and he literally doesn't think he belongs on this. Last time he competed, I look at him and I can see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
That-
Just like a little a little doubt, like
doubt,
a little,
a lot of
just-
doubt.
Okay, really,
Because he's backstage with all these huge bodybuilders.
Tom. I can't wait to meet you in person, dude.
So I look at him in the hallway,
Yeah.
backstage, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" Said, "All these big guys back there now." I said, "Tom, you belong on that stage."
That's nice.
And
Well, Larry,
that was it.
Larry, what were you going to say earlier about training?
A lot of, you own a gym, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people training there.
Sure.
A lot of young guys. They all come to me wanting to bodybuild. And I'll set them up on a basic program for a few weeks. And then if they stick with it, I advance it. But then if they're going to really start to look like they're serious about it, I call Mike and say, Mike, I got to send you a guy. In other words, if they're good enough to go to the next step, I send them down to Mike Robinson.
Nice.
And he takes them, and
Mike,
Do you remember the first one?
gosh, there's a lot of first ones.
Mike, that's a blessing, dude.
Big
Wow.
First one would be
Rob Grote.
Oh, of course, Bob. Oh,
He was amazing.
Robert Grote.
too. He ended up getting his pro card.
yes.
That was a lot of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest pose downs was him.
Yes.
At the Mike Francois. Remember they had everybody posing next to each other. They sent everybody backstage except for 3. And those obviously are the top 3.
Yes.
They couldn't pick between them. And they moved them around. I bet they were on stage for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Oh, right. They were just so close.
Waiting for someone to
Yeah.
lose it. And
Yeah.
Rob came in second that day, but not as far as I'm concerned. But
Sure.
what an
I thought he was the
amazing,
winner.
me too. But what an amazing,
What about-
still to this day, I remember that.
Right. What about what year was that?
Oh,
That would
20?
have been,
almost 20?
20 years ago?
15 years
yeah,
ago.
probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
And still, I don't think there's been a better face-off than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because he hung in, everybody hung in. That was the problem. Nobody lost it.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's what this is all about.
Yes.
It's the experience, the wonderful experience that you get. And truly, as a bodybuilding coach, it's up to me to make that experience.
Right.
They need to understand what is going to be an issue with their placing. I never blow smoke up their butt.
Right.
I tell them exactly whether they want to hear it or not. The experience of it is
Yeah.
amazing for her, for the best bodybuilder.
Right.
The experience is.
I mean, what you're doing in terms of like understanding, I just met you not too long ago. Like, I think it's just profoundly, you should be profoundly proud of yourself.
I love it.
This guy was questioning if he could make time for the interview. So, but we love you, Lair. Anybody important?
My son, Jimmy.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And he got
I'm real sorry.
No, that's all right. He goes, I gotta love you, and that's cool.
So
Yeah.
Rob, the first person that we collaborated on,
Yeah.
great kid,
Yeah.
quiet, just did the work.
Yeah.
He had magazine abs. I've still never seen abs that look like Rob.
And movie star face.
Oh my God.
Oh, really? Was he here from Dayton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what he told me one of the first times I met him?
What's his last name again?
Grody.
Grody.
Grody. Is he still in the area or no?
I think he moved to Florida.
Okay.
How did he? One of the first things he said to me was, I want to win my pro card in Vegas. So
He wants to be in Vegas.
he doesn't want to move there, but he wants to win his pro card there. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Pro card this, pro card that. And then I got to know him, and he was just quiet, focused, driven, would do anything Larry said.
So you started to rally around him.
Well,
Or take
he
that-
did a couple bodybuilding shows.
Yeah.
And then we moved him to men's physique because his legs were a little undersized
Okay.
to win a pro card.
Right.
He did one show in Dayton, won the overall, qualified him for nationals in Vegas, went to Vegas, won his pro card.
Nice. There you go.
Wanted it, and Mike gave it to him.
Exactly. Now let's talk more about exactly. Let's tell a story. I like to hear almost two versions. Let's let Larry. Larry, what do you remember about first meeting Mike? You remember the situation?
I'm trying to remember. Probably at a bodybuilding show, or maybe I don't know. Do you know?
Did you
Southside?
Of course, we just talked about that.
So here,
Southside Fitness.
Southside Fitness?
It was.
so I knew who Larry was.
Yeah.
I didn't even go up to him. I watched him.
Yes.
He was training a few people
From
there.
afar, I can only imagine. But from afar, you don't know him. He's like a world,
I
right?
didn't
World champion.
think I deserved to.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, I was just happy to be in training people at the same place.
Right.
And he was very just quiet and
Yeah.
just went about his business.
The
And,
killer over there,
right.
getting at it.
So this is fun. I'll try to let you go. Or
Yeah, and I just Southside was well, it was a spinoff from Champions Gym. It started out as Club Champions. I opened it up as a personal training center only, and the two owners, Jan and Ray, they eventually turned it into Southside. I think they wanted to break away from the Champions. It sounded too intimidating, they thought. But anyway,
Right.
they turned into Southside, and they've taken off with it. It's going well.
Nice.
I did a lot of personal training there, and
This was where was it located? Southside.
it was in
Cross Point
Center.
Okay, that's in
Centerville.
Centerville.
Yeah, and now they're on Bigger Road.
Okay.
They're still there, and staying busy, but the gym in general is doing great. Jan is top notch trainer. She's the best yoga trainer as well. But it turned it into a gold mine for him.
Nice.
And of course I sold it to him and did okay as well. Point is, Mike showed up there one day, I guess, and and I got to find out more about him. I checked around, and I started sending everybody to him because he has the eating plans.
Sure.
He's got of course, bodybuilding. The training's easy.
Did he catch your attention? How did you? Do you remember? Do you remember that exactly that moment when you like, hey, hello, I'm so and so, Mike?
I remember.
Yeah. What do you remember?
So it was a few months. Like I had been training some people in there.
Yeah.
And Larry obviously was training people, and we really didn't say anything to each
Sure.
other.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
One day I'm standing up at the counter waiting for another client, and he comes up and says, "What's your name?" I told him. He said, "You're the busiest trainer in Dayton."
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like the goat is telling me I'm the busiest trainer in Dayton. Because
It was true.
I had a big footprint in that place.
Yeah.
So big they ended up firing me.
You put the time in, and the cream rises to the
Well,
top, and then up,
So like
right?
I'm still
You grow, right?
watching Larry train and all this
Sure.
stuff, and then that's how we finally met, and then kind of forged a friendship there and got people,
Nice.
and then then I left there, went to a few places because it's hard for a trainer to move gyms.
Listen, you don't have.
It's very difficult.
Okay, I'm just going to put a little note in there, guys. So I moved to Chicago in 1984. I decided by 1992 that I wanted to leave the business because I didn't want to use my creative energies to sell prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals, shit food, alcohol, cigarettes, everything I didn't participate in. And I had an epiphany of discovered fitness. Got an opportunity. My essence, I'm an artist. As you can see, this is so colorful background. I get lots of comments about my studio because it's like, hopefully we're creating great conversation content, but people can look around and take a look at the fun stuff. But my essence, I'm an artist, but I got into fitness back in 1992. So my point is with changing gyms, right? So I was in Chicago. I went from I fortunately was able to go into one of the number one new gyms just started my career. And then the guy who brought me in there, I followed him to the CBOE at downtown Chicago, where all the mayor and all the powerhouse judges and powerhouse people from Chicago. That was a blessing. That being said, super difficult, right? all of a sudden you're shifting. It's one thing to shift a city. A location. I ended up shifting a city. So I went from Chicago after 20 years into LA. And I realized I wanted the weather and whatever more opportunity.
Right.
But boy, talk about being a small fish in a big pond.
You had to start all over.
Yeah, I had stories on myself going through. Then I finally found my niche. And then what happened to the 2008 recession? Boom.
Tell me about it.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I get shot to New York. And I was telling Mike earlier, I end up being New Jersey. But building that clientele, it takes at least 5 years. Minimum. If you're good.
So with the NPC and the bodybuilding thing,
Yeah.
I know people all over the country.
Right.
We've competed all over the country.
Sure.
So if I ever had to change states,
Yes.
I have connections.
The network.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's
His
good.
footprint is wide.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So after 2 decades of getting people on stage, do you still enjoy it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I still get goosebumps.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he does.
It's like I'm in the. So obviously, they give me a VIP pass and all that. I'm in the front row behind the head judge
Sure.
every time.
Oh my gosh.
And most times they can see me
Yes.
when
Hey.
they're on stage.
Listen, right? Can you imagine, Larry, being able to be mentored, and also during competition, having the eyes that have been there on you the whole time during that time, to them just that's like you, dude. That's your ultimate mentor. Cheers.
And it's
Ultimate mentor to you, man.
It's in a way comforting to them.
Yeah,
But it
Absolutely.
also
that's what they need.
it makes them focus on stuff they've been told to do 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
And in posing class, I'll use hand signals.
There you go.
So I don't even tell them I'll do this if I want them to turn.
Yes.
If they're on stage facing the wrong way, I just do this. It's just like they learned in posing class.
Yeah.
It's just there's something about new competitors that I love, and I love the high level.
Sure. The ones that have been there and keep repeating and keep coming back, and
And the new ones,
your family, man.
they're like, they don't have all these expectations. They don't. They're following you because they don't know what to do.
Right.
You got somebody has done 5 or 6 shows. They all think they know everything.
And this is the time to promote Mike, because every Sunday, almost every Sunday, he is holding class and posing and other things too. Answer questions, but basically it's a posing class every Sunday morning at around 11 o'clock. Right?
At
11:30, 11.
At 11 o'clock.
11. Yeah.
where is this held?
This at Empower Gym,
Okay.
270 North Dixie
Okay.
in Vandalia. And,
Nice to
just
know.
on the outskirts of Dayton.
Like an
but
open invite for people just to even
come on in,
check it out, meet you, have a talk, and
Meet us.
explore potential.
Yeah.
Potential.
and then my team is also training that day. Mm-hmm. So my team trains 3 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. So I'm just finishing up when Mike takes over
Got it.
for bodybuilding.
Which is awesome. Cause,
Nice.
we don't really train the same place together.
Sure. It's complimentary,
Right now.
right?
but I love going in and seeing them. And,
Yeah.
one of the best things about Larry is he has a way of inspiring these kids
Yeah.
to reach
New heights.
their highest potential. There's a bell they ring when they
Yeah.
When they set a personal
when they
record,
set
yeah.
Right,
PR.
right. Yeah.
Like, some of that stuff just never stops. It's like
Right?
a good coach or a trainer. It's just intuitive. It's
Yeah.
just you just do those things. And I've seen Larry training for 20 years, and it's the same all the time and never stops. It's
Yeah.
like he's got more of it
Consistency.
in him than everyone else.
Yes. A drive, a passion, right?
It's just
Well,
fun to watch.
I'm going to be 80 years old, and I need something to keep me from watching that TV. 'Cause
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's all that's really going on. I've got my grandson.
Yes.
Nothing like
Bouncing.
Nicholas,
Yeah.
Pacifico, and I see him once a week, twice a week, sometime,
Nice.
and it's a joy of my life.
Sure.
And then I've got young people that look up to me, and then I'm getting to the top. And I got one little freshman right now, Gregory. He's amazing.
What's his name? Gregory?
Gregory.
Gregory. Last name?
Filer.
Gregory Filer.
Filer.
Gregory Filer.
He's going
Shout
to the-
out to
going
Gregory
to the
Filer.
state championships in 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Very few freshmen could ever win that state, but he's going to win. And then I got a senior named Xavier. He's amazing.
Last name?
Big boy. Stacy.
Xavier Stacy.
Xavier Stacy.
Shout out to Xavier.
Strongest guy in the history of the state meet. He will show up on the 8th of March in Canton, Ohio, and squat 850 pounds.
Oh my goodness. And how old is this kid?
He just turned 18.
Are you kidding me?
He's a very down-to-earth guy, listens,
Yeah.
and he's also becoming one of the top shot putters in high school.
So he just has probably amazing genetics and then
Yeah.
amazing coaching.
Yeah, he got a great family.
Wow.
Mom and dad are right behind him.
Oh,
His dad trained him for years,
So wonderful.
and he probably could be a bodybuilder if he trimmed down. But
Yeah.
right now, it's all about strength. But we're here to talk about other things.
Yeah. But
You know, everybody knows me around here.
yeah. Note to self: we're going to have some You get to bring some of your all stars in. But Mike, so let me ask you, and this is a question that every person, can relate to, and the young people maybe not so much. But what would you tell your younger self, from where you are now, what you've learned? What would you tell your younger self? 18 or something, when you were just kind
So
of...
18, that's kind of a loaded question.
Yep, of course it is, because that's a loaded time in a lot of lives.
It doesn't have a lot to do with fitness, but join the Navy.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'll tell you why.
Okay. See the world.
My dad had taken off on us, so I'm acting out and doing all this. Have a lot of good friends, but no person in my life to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm 18. That's a kid.
Right.
So at our school, they came and gave us the ASVAB, which is the Armed Services Test. I didn't miss a question.
Whoa.
So they took me off to the side and said, I know you wanted to see the Army people. I didn't want to see any of them, but I had to. Took me off to the side and said, you need to see the Navy guys. I go to see the Navy guys, which they have the best uniforms. For sure.
Yeah. Right.
So I see the guy, says, dude, what? I've never seen this. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
In terms of your scores?
Yeah. So he said, you got to take the nuke test.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like,
What?
What are you talking about? It's in Peoria. We're going to drive you up there. We'll take you to lunch. And 20% of the people that take it pass it. So if you don't, it's no big deal.
Right.
I passed it.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how.
Good for you.
Because I had girls doing my math homework the whole time I was in high school. I must have picked the right thing. So I pass it.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-year commitment,
Mm-hmm.
which 4 of those years is college. I'm only 18.
Right.
6 years is a third of my life. But I had no one telling me, it's just 6 years. Like, you go in as an E3.
Yes.
It's like a $50,000 enlistment bonus.
Sure.
I didn't do it.
You did not.
No, I wanted to hang around my friends too much.
Wow.
So that's what you regret.
Yeah, I do. However,
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
Of course.
There's so many things I would have missed. But, if I had a role model telling me the obvious of what to do,
Yeah.
that was pretty obvious. I went to college anyway. I just didn't get the uniform.
Sure. You know what?
And I think I would rock it.
Do you know what I tell
Yeah.
you? Do you know what I tell you? Is that and again, I shared this with Larry in my first episode that, and I mentioned it to you, exercise saved me.
Right.
And it was that physical plane that I had so much anxiousness and whatever.
Right.
My father was amazing. I had I'm blessed, grateful. But at that time, I couldn't settle down. So I got settled down. And I was here at the time, like during the Reagan cutting all the monies, right? And I ended up just like the whole idea of going to college, it was like probably wasn't college material because I was just too independent artist and creative guy and whatever and anxious and couldn't keep my attention. I love music. So anyway, I ended up going to Sinclair and blah, 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 and working for the Air Force. I ended up landing a job through a cooperative program. I went to John H. Patterson High School. Then it launched me to enough credibility early at 19 to be recognized at Sinclair. And Wright Pat people come out to me, a graphic art support contractor. They go, yeah, we have part-time work. Started there. Hey, you want to go full-time? Reagan just cut all the monies. And I'm like, right? Okay, I'm going that decision, right? Mm-hmm. And basically never looked back. But, and then, what is what I'm getting to the story about, talking about how, like, you regret a decision when you made one or whatever. I'm working for a contractor for the United States government. Right now, I could be probably most likely comfortably retired and all good.
I should be an admiral.
But you're an admiral bodybuilder creator. But I was I literally had this I was either going to stay there in that job and buy a brand new 1984 Blazer. SUV's just coming out. Or I was going to move to Chicago, where my sister had moved. And she was in marketing and advertising. And I chose the other. Yeah. And it was like the best decision because I'm here now. Mm-hmm. And it is my life. And that's what one of the things I think that through circumstance, at that moment, right, we make those decisions. And looking back, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But listen.
Yeah, I don't even really regret.
Right. It's just it's an outcome of potential that
What would have been interesting if you could see what that would have done, like, how it would turn out.
Right. Like, okay, Larry having the mishap after 9 and the finger and keeping you from the 10th.
Yeah.
Right. Where then that would have gone. So, you obviously did well. So, Mike, let me ask you.
Can the camera see that?
Yeah, we can see that, buddy. It's kind of like, oh, look away. What was the best advice from like a strength coach when you were? Learning the strength training? Did Larry? How did he play a part? Did you did some powerlifting
really.
At all or no?
So the coach that would have made a difference was basically a football coach. So when I was on the cusp of they basically wanted you to eat a lot, take up a lot of space.
Sure, right.
And make sure you can still run.
Yes.
But I had this coach that in the church basement, we had a universal and a deadlift platform. And this guy knew what he was talking about and kind of took me under his wing a little bit. Mm-hmm. And basically the best advice was don't give up.
There you go. That's a nugget.
Simple.
Strong nugget.
It kind of resonates through a lot of things that I've done. And, you just can't, there's going to be good days and bad days. You can't give up. Mm-hmm. And so we had a little bit of equipment and, you'd go down there and people are using it and the plays and it's like the guy would say, dude, they're going to be gone in a little bit. Just don't give up. And we got the workout in every single time in the church basement, full of mold probably.
That little fine tuning of like keeping you at it, keeping you right on that verge of changing your life and structure.
And it's the small things, I think, that really, when you add them up, are really the things that make a big difference. Because the big things are pretty common sense. It's the little things that put you on that journey. And with bodybuilding, the people I coach.
Yeah.
I have a saying, I don't know, can we be a little off color here?
Of course. Say what you want.
It's a hashtag, eat the fucking chicken.
Okay.
And it just means follow the plan.
Right.
Like eat the fucking chicken.
I ate so much sweet potatoes, chicken, and broccoli.
Yeah. I don't care if they eat turkey.
Yeah, right. Of course.
But eat the fucking chicken. That's the simple.
Right.
They're
raw
the hardest
reality.
things to do.
Yes, raw reality, consistency.
Yeah.
Just do it. And it's interesting to me, both you guys, like, listen, it's interesting to me because to be a bodybuilder, right? That's a special creature. That's a special scenario of level of, because there's so many people that want to be even fit, right? And not unhealthy. And then they come in the gym, and you have, and I know you guys have realized this and dealt with it all your life, that you can have guys in there that are egos that get in the way, all levels, right? And then when you do find somebody that comes in and can actually, that wants something, then they can put their ego aside enough to actually listen, acknowledge, and respect what you're giving them. And then to take them, then you really weed them out, right? Who's going to really be able to go the
There's
distance?
some people that feed into you
Right.
as their coach. Those are the special people.
Good point.
You're not just feeding into them, because
Right.
eventually you
Right.
run out of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a symbiotic experience.
Yes, and a continual exchange.
They're with you, you're with them.
Yes. Hey, it goes back to what Larry says, right? This intersocial interaction, this relationship, this building, this constant interaction of community, and like we're all in this together, you know. And this is a big part of my message. Community, purpose, wellness, right? I consider this, guys, this this is Imagine Fitting In podcast, all about mentors, healthy lives, and community. But I consider this a special little episodes that we do with Lair, and we're calling it Power and Purpose.
Good.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And
For me, it's about setting goals,
there you go.
ringing the bell.
There you go.
That's a good one.
You gotta ring the bell. What that means that they've done something they've never done before.
Yes.
I'm going to use
And
that
they
as
get to
my
ring it.
next hashtag.
Yes. Ring the
fucking
bell.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, listen, if you think about it on a subconscious level, they can, whenever they're watching a movie, wherever they're out anywhere, and they hear a ding,
yeah.
boom.
It'll take them right back to the gym.
It will.
You need to set goals.
That's exactly.
We do a 5-3-1 program, so
Beautiful
they can
nugget.
always ring the bell if they're improving.
Yes.
And the problem I have is after high school, I usually lose them to college.
Right.
They go off somewhere.
Sure.
And even the very extreme strong ones. I had a kid from Piqua, Noah Schaefer, strongest kid ever, 145 pounds, deadlifting 650,
Oh my God.
squatting 640. Didn't have much of a bench considering, but it's still 250.
Right.
But he was the strongest. But you got to make a living.
Sure.
You
Oh,
can't.
absolutely.
He wasn't independently wealthy.
Right.
His dad owned the company. I said, no, work for your dad. Well, we don't get. I said, make it happen. Work for your dad. You've got to build a job. Work for your dad, and see if you can help your dad
Yes.
be even more successful. Because once he's gone, who's he going to turn it over to?
Right.
You and your brother. You've got a job for life. Set goals, reach the goals, but then keep ringing the bell.
Yeah. I'll take care. Yeah. I guess what this brings me to in my head right now, I truly value being acknowledged, especially back in my hometown, because I went and I scoured the country in the top major cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York area. And I was purposeful. Don't give up. Bringing my stuff. I was telling Mike about, I educated myself. I was like, first became certified as American Council on Exercise. And then it was kind of intimidated, went all through. And not only did I get my NASM, I actually am now a continuing education provider for NASM.
How are you?
I train trainers. I'm a balance specialist.
Yeah,
So
good.
I specialize in static and dynamic balance progressions. We know that the progressions in powerlifting, key, right? There's format.
Yes.
The key, progressions in nutrition is just so on another echelon level to somebody to like incorporate in their daily life. Do you want it? And we were talking about those special people, man. That takes a special person. And, I think it's all a blessing that we can continue, live in the greatest country in the world, that we can be a part of this. And this is what's getting back to, like, again, Larry going, oh, you got to talk to my friend Mike Robinson. I said, well, come along and we'll share this stuff. Because I don't see any more powerful value in this than understanding that to remind kids and even their parents and adults and everyone, the people who lost all the weight while the skin, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like there are so many resources for you. Just explore, right? And I encourage you listeners to share this episode, explore Larry's gym up in Vandalia, your Muscle Dawg Fitness. Obviously, there's just so much to offer, and just explore.
Right.
So I consider us a little cadre, part of the fitness cadre of Dayton here. And Larry and I discussed, and he was so generous with his comment to me, and he's just been such a great guy. I really appreciate you, Larry.
You're the man.
They don't make them like him anymore.
And I want to try to magnify just the whole vibe in our community, and to make people aware of that. There is a strong avenue, that physical plane, and there's a little niche for everybody. And then even those special niches with those special human beings that want to take it to another level and challenge themselves. Because in terms of a mental challenge, right, we know it takes so much discipline, so much focus, so much education, experience, knowledge, patience, and to be able to have the open ear. I finally came to realize, I come to a point in my life at 62 years old, that I had to develop my ego and be more confident about my ego. And you know what? If I end up having, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. I experienced where I got so confident. It was always there. I was an intelligent kid. I was a creative kid. And I didn't think I could compete. I didn't think I could compete with everybody else. But when then I did, and I educated myself, and I got empowered, and then I start walking the walk and talking the talk, the people that could not either criticize, or their idea of trying to do well is like to knock somebody off their game. Mm-hmm. And I got thrown as, like, when people would tell me I've got an ego, I'm like, oh, let me tell you a story about how you think your perception of me, where I started. So I think there's grandeur in that celebration, that we recognize all of our careers. Mm-hmm. And also it's important to recognize that road is each and so individual situations, right? Your background, your upbringing, your circumstance, and that just getting back to that raw physical plane that we all play with, right? It's so, if you don't have that tool in your toolbox, tell me how strong ultimately a military is going to be sharp in mental capacity and focus. So, we live here in Dayton, Ohio, aviation, home of aviation. We know that the reason why we are a superpower is because of aviation and all that. So I just want to do a shout out to just honor us as a cadre and all the other people in the city that are making sacrifices, because, hey, it's almost like the life of an artist.
Right.
It's not necessarily easy. No. It's tough, right? You have to encourage, but there is options for people. So
I always say I'm not sure how I got to this place.
Exactly.
I just know I'm in the right place.
Great. That's a great nugget, dude. Great. Now, Larry, let me ask you, what advice, if you had, what would you give young people if they wanted to explore a career in not only, investigating powerlifting as a hobby or a sport or competition, but even to train athletes, right?
Yeah.
What kind of field of study? What kind of career advice would you give somebody to?
Well, my philosophy is ring the bell. So, point is, if you're trying to get a kid who wants to be a sprinter, and he's running 12 seconds in the 100 meters, and you got 4 years with him, from the time he's a freshman or even younger, maybe you get him in 7th or 8th grade, and you want to see him win at Ohio State, the state championships. So you start him out, with everything that he's got to do to run faster, straight. So that includes a lot of time in the gym with weights. It requires a lot of time with an athletic trainer to do the plyometrics, hit all angles to get him to that line in 10 seconds, 0.5. If he runs 10.5, he'll probably win the state. If he starts out running 12, it's a lot of work to do to get down to 10.5. So one step at a time. Every time he does something better, We don't have a bell out there on the track, but I'm telling him, if you were in my gym, you would be ringing the bell because that's the best you've ever done on that particular part of the training. Then we go to the next part of training, and then the next, and then the next. Now, if he winds up winning the state, he did a good job. He did a good job, or she, doesn't matter. Point is, try to find somebody with good genetics. Try to put them in the right field of athletics. Maybe it's throwing the shot put. I took my son Jimmy when he was, 6 years old. I got him a little ball to throw, shot put, and then his mom said, well, "Why haven't him do that?" Because I think he'll be the state champion when he's in high school. And not only did he do that, he won everything. He was national high school champion twice.
Nice.
Point is, he had a captive audience in his dad, who's right there. So I made sure he ate well, did well, and all the other kids saw Jimmy, and they gravitated to me. So I had a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And then it developed it into my powerlifting situation.
Nice.
And I enjoy doing that.
Right.
I wish I had more than 4 years with them, but the point is, I've got them. And if they take that powerlifting experience and turn it into the sport that they play,
Yeah.
maybe they can get a scholarship.
That powerlifting
Yeah.
seems like a raw
It's the
baseline foundation.
It's the best basis
For
for
athletics.
bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's like
Athletics.
everything.
Yeah.
Squats, bench, deadlift. It's the foundation for every sport. If you powerlift, you'll play badminton better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you swim faster.
Right. Your plyometrics, your potential for
Exactly.
power.
And then, Mike's the same way. Then we go to the nutrition.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where I've got this kid. I said, look, you need to talk to one more person.
Mm-hmm.
I always turn him over the mic. And or somebody who's got that knowledge.
Sure.
And then in
Expertise.
Dayton, we're lucky enough to have the best. And Mike truly is the best.
Nice.
Well, thank
Nice.
you, Larry.
That's awesome. I mean,
But then, take it any walk of life. If he's trying to be a better chemist, set goals, reach those goals, ring the bell.
right. So, is there any general advice, Mike, that you could give out to just the average Joe or the average person about what's a good place to start? Say they exercise and they try their best in nutrition and they've tried various diets or programs. What would you think? What would you give us as an average person like advice in terms of like, because your nutrition store that you had and all the supplementation, right? What's the best advice you would give a person that's like wanting to start and go, okay, what's a baseline in my foods?
Like a lifestyle person.
Yeah, like what's a baseline on the foods, and then like what would they be point their attention to try to even magnify and get even tighter with their game on nutrition.
Well, for sure, baseline would be get rid of the sugar,
Right.
get rid of processed foods. I'm an all whole foods guy.
Right.
But I have an interesting way. Like a lifestyle person comes to me and they tell me about all the stuff they've done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would kind of nudge them in a little bit. I ain't doing that. I'm like, they're following the same program that bodybuilders follow. Because there was a study, I can't remember where it was from. You have about 60 days to lock them in. And if they don't see progress or feel progress in 60 days, they're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So that 60 days, I make very specific. And if they mess it up, they're still going to make progress. People think it'll chase them away. It actually makes them grab a hold even more.
Having them start to feed on you more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, I give them a very specific diet.
Right.
How much of this, how much of that, how many meals, exactly what they're supposed to do. I try to get them to do that at least for a couple weeks, and then we might modify some things. But it's very specific.
What's your opinion? I'm curious. And Larry, your opinion on this? That I always emphasize, everybody emphasizes, right? We know the quality of food. We talk about whole foods. A lot of people know what they should. They know what they should be eating, but no, they know what food they shouldn't be eating, but they don't know what food they should be eating on a regular basis. They're not eating right. When you're going off and eating not good, you're not allowing that real optimal nutrition to come in.
Right.
So what do you think? And I always emphasize this. First three things. Hydration, timing of more quality meals. So they're going to get water, and they're going to think about structuring their daily intake on a schedule, like a new recruit going into the Navy. We know how kids come out when they go in and come out after 6 to 8 weeks of boot camp, right? So they're literally, this is what we're doing, a version of boot camp, right?
Sure.
Right? For sure. So, and then the quality. I don't even care about the quantity right now. Those three things in that order. Then you set yourself up to refine, right?
Yeah.
Dropping that calorie count with the quality. What's your thoughts about the emphasis of timing?
So I have a different opinion about that. So if you're talking about a lifestyle person.
Yeah, it's general lifestyle.
So the reason for the timing is because they get the schedule feeling.
Yes.
They know what's coming up. They always have something coming up.
Right.
Hopefully it satiates them, and they're not reaching for other things.
Right.
Nutritionally, you could take all those meals and eat one meal, and it's the totality of the day that counts.
Right.
But they're going to be pretty damn hungry.
Yes.
Getting up to that meal or after it.
Right.
And and then you take like a bodybuilder who has to get 5,000 calories of clean food in.
Right. That's a lot of.
You can't put that all in one. You couldn't sit there and eat all that food.
Right.
So you separate the meals out. I don't think nutritionally it's a huge. You could still lose weight and eat one meal.
Right. The total calorie count.
The problem is no one's going to do that.
Right.
Because they're going to eat a Snickers bar when they get home.
So I guess where I come from on that, because I'm mentioning that, is from the average person that you're trying to break free just to give them enough energy and sustaining power to come in the gym and be able to train at the right time, right? They don't have food on their stomach, but they're not starving.
The only thing I would add to that would be focus on the protein.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. Right.
Because if you're full and you focused on the protein, you haven't eaten crap that day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that was the only thing I would add to that.
Sure. And I know, there's a science, which, again, that's why they should come to you. If you're definitely do that bodybuilder avenue and go to extreme, if they want to compete or not, or just they would be just their optimal self, you're obviously the man, because that is just a huge factor. And as much as we can talk about, like, you have to do this, there's so many, like, I go back, there's so many different factors, and I'm trying to be conscientious that there's a number of people that if you can just simplify it, and get them past and just get them regular on just that concept, those three things, then they may stay and just hold those three things, but they're still going to have their cake and or whatever, but they're going to be healthier. Yeah.
Like what I've seen Larry do with the folder things. It's the simplest, hardest thing they will ever do.
Right. The logbook.
Yes.
You can't make it complicated because you don't need to.
Right.
And the more complicated you make it, the less they're going to do.
Right.
That was one of the first things I noticed at Southside. I'm like, what the hell are those things? And then it was I found out.
You're empowering and what do you call it? Putting them to okay, there's your homework.
It's accountability.
Accountability. Go pick up where you left off.
It's a log of bell ringing.
Yeah. There you go. Personal best. Well, listen, guys. Anything else? Of course, I'm going to get all your information in the show notes. All right. But is there anything else you guys would like to share? We're going to definitely get in your guy Tom Glavin. Well, I hope to look forward to meeting him. That's exciting. Anything else you want to share, Mike, about today, and anything you want to any upcoming events that are, we're going to probably, this is timing wise, it's not that great we'll just make sure that everybody's got your notes, your links.
Well, we're just starting the competition season.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Arnold Amateur is coming up the end of March.
Yeah.
Or February, I mean.
Yeah.
And from then on, it's kind of balls to the wall.
Okay.
I think I was in 12 states last year.
Yeah.
Different competitions.
Uh-huh.
And if someone's doing one and they want me involved,
Yeah.
if the weekend's open, I'll go.
Yeah.
I go to every one I can.
Okay.
And I get there for check-ins on Friday night, and I stay through the show. Lots of coaches do not do that.
So there's multiple ways that you can actually consult with a person, help them wherever stage they may be.
I do everything: posing, nutrition.
Okay.
Like Larry was saying at Empower, I'm there. I've been there when no one showed up. I've been there when 15 people showed up.
Yeah.
You gotta walk before you run.
Exactly.
You never know who's going to show, but it's
So
there.
I'm there. And we got a neat little space, and
Sure.
Larry's there, and it's a cool energy on Sunday.
Nice.
So,
Okay, so guys, it's just been a real pleasure
Thanks, Greg.
to share that.
was
Hopefully, I think there's definitely some nuggets there for everybody. And again, the Imagine Fitting podcast, Imagine Fitting In podcast, is all about mentors, healthy lives, and community.
Right.
And we are contributors, right? As Larry mentioned, you just don't want to be a observer. Everybody's life, young and old. That's why I encourage if you've this is to highlight the fact that how powerful mentors are in lives, and if you're not mentoring a young life or being aware of around you of opportunities to explore that, I encourage listeners to do that because I think it's a powerful part of a healthy community.
Right.
And addressing things where we have a sense of community. And again, I go back to our power and purpose episode today, Larry.
Yep.
So I thank you very much.
Yeah, everybody out there, just take a chance on life. Get started. Take the first step by walking through the doors of a facility.
Yep.
Maybe it's with Mike. Maybe it's with me. Maybe it's with you. We're all trainers, and take that first step. You never know what it's going to lead to.
Exactly. Great. All right, guys. Well, kids, it's been another episode. Till next time. Bye-bye. Break here. Another great episode. I hope you are enjoying Imagine Fitting In podcast. And just a reminder here, please remember to hit the subscribe button because we love to feel you a part of our Imagine Fitting In family. And if you want to become a brand ambassador, we'd love it if you would share this link on social media, through your email, all your friends. You can help with us with donations, any small donation, big or large, whatever you can manage, to help encourage us and support our efforts here. And you'll find that link in the show notes. And finally, again, a reminder, please refer guests to us. You can find me and contact me at thebalanceprofessor@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. All right. So I hope you continue enjoying Imagine Fitting In. All right. Till next time.
Professor.